In August 2003, 50 million people lost power at once. For 2 days, entire neighborhoods sat in total darkness. Most people worried about their freezers. The smart ones worried about their doors. Number 14 stops a break-in for under $3. Number 6 is a trick a retired cop taught his whole street. And number 1 costs nothing, yet protects you better than any alarm money can buy. Hit that subscribe button and let us count down the 20 poor man ways to keep your home safe when the lights go out. Number 20, gravel under the windows. Every burglar has one enemy he cannot silence, and that is the sound of his own feet. A $10 bag of pea gravel spread in a 2-foot strip beneath every ground floor window turns your quietest approach into a loud, crunching announcement. In the dark, when the street lights are dead and the air conditioning units have gone silent, that crunch carries. It travels through an open window and lands right in your ears while you are lying awake at 2 in the morning. Old-timers in tornado country did this for decades, not for looks, but because a man walking up to a farmhouse at night could be heard before he was ever seen. A bag of gravel costs less than a pizza. It never needs batteries, it never needs Wi-Fi, and it works every single night for the rest of your life. The people who install it once forget it is even there until the night it wakes them up. Number 19, solar path lights. When the grid dies, the whole street goes black, except for the homes that never depended on the grid in the first place. A 4-pack of solar garden lights costs about $12, and they charge themselves all day for free. Line them along the walkway, around the porch, near the side gate, and by dusk they glow soft and steady with nobody flipping a single switch. A lit path is a path someone has to cross in the open, and burglars hate the open. They want shadow. They want to move unseen from the tree line to your window. Those cheap little stakes take the shadow away without costing you a penny in electricity. Some folks laugh at solar lights as flimsy dollar store junk, but on the third night of a regional blackout, when every porch on the block is a black hole and yours is quietly glowing, you will understand exactly what they were for. Number 18, the motion floodlight that runs on sunshine. One step up from the path light is the solar motion floodlight, and it is the closest thing to a real security system a working family can afford. For around $25, you mount it under the eaves. It soaks up the sun all day, and it stays dark and patient until something moves. Then it slams on with 180 degrees of white light. Nothing rattles a person creeping through a blacked-out yard like being suddenly lit up like a stage. He does not know if a neighbor is watching. He does not know if you are standing at the window with a phone already dialing. Most of the time, he does not wait to find out. He leaves. The genius is that it costs nothing to run and needs no wiring, no electrician, and no monthly fee. It just sits up there, charged by the same sun that lights the whole world, ready for the one night the world goes dark. Number 17, 3-inch screws in the strike plate. Here is the cruelest secret in home security. The lock is almost never the weak point. The door frame is. Most front doors come with a strike plate, that little metal piece the bolt slides into, held on by 2 flimsy 3/4-inch screws that bite into nothing but soft pine trim. One good kick and the whole thing tears loose, lock and all. But swap those short screws for 3-inch screws, the kind that reach past the trim and sink deep into the wall stud behind it, and that same door will take punishment that leaves a burglar limping. A box of screws costs $4. The job takes 10 minutes and a screwdriver. During a blackout, when no alarm is coming and no camera is recording, that door has to hold on its own. 2 long screws are the difference between a frame that splinters on the first kick and one that stands there like it was carved from the house itself. Number 16, thorns under every window. Long before anyone sold a security system, people planted their protection in the ground. A row of thorny shrubs beneath a ground floor window is a wall a man cannot climb through without paying for it in blood and noise. Barberry, holly, climbing roses, hawthorn, any of them turn an easy entry point into a thicket of pain. A burglar in the dark, feeling his way along the side of your house, reaches your window and finds a mess of thorns waiting in the black. He is not going to fight through that quietly, and quiet is the only weapon he has. A few small shrubs cost $15 or $20 and grow thicker every year for free. Grandmothers planted roses under the windows because they were beautiful, but plenty of them also knew exactly what those thorns did at night. Beauty and defense in the same bush. That was the old way. Number 15. The bell and string tripwire. This one is older than electricity, older than the country, and it still works better than half the gadgets sold today. A length of fishing line strung ankle high across the top of the driveway, the side gate, or the porch steps, tied off to a cluster of old bells or a can full of pebbles, becomes a silent guard that never sleeps. In daylight, nobody notices it. But at night, in a blackout, a man moving towards your house cannot see it either. He walks into the line, the bells clatter, and the whole quiet street hears that something is coming. Fishing line costs $3 for a spool that would ring a mile of yard. A handful of jingle bells from the craft store costs almost nothing. Trappers use this, soldiers use this, farmers use this, and it does the one thing every expensive alarm claims to do. It buys you the most precious thing there is in an emergency. Warning! A few seconds to wake up, to stand up, to be ready. Here is where things get interesting. A burglar is not a criminal mastermind. He is a lazy man looking for the easiest house on the street. That is the whole truth of it. He is not trying to beat your defenses. He is trying to avoid them entirely and move on to the house next door that has none. In normal times, that decision gets made by comparing your alarm sticker to your neighbor's. But when the whole neighborhood goes dark, the alarms die, the cameras die, and every house on the block gets reset to 0 on the same night. Now the decision comes down to something older and simpler. Which house looks like more trouble than it is worth? Gravel that crunches, a path that glows, thorns under the window, a door that will not kick in. None of these have to stop a determined army. They only have to make your house the harder one, so the lazy man keeps walking. That is the entire game, and it is won for a couple $100, most of which you spend once and never again. Number 14, the broomstick in the track. This is the $3 trick that stops a break-in cold, and almost nobody uses it. Sliding glass doors and horizontal windows have a fatal weakness. The lock is usually a cheap latch that pops with a firm shove or a thin pry bar. But lay a wooden dowel, a cut broomstick, or even a length of closet rod flat into the bottom track, and that door physically cannot slide open, no matter how the latch fails. The wood takes all the force and simply will not move. A dowel from the hardware store costs about $3, or you sacrifice an old broom you already own for free. Cut it to length, drop it in the track, and forget it. During a blackout, sliding doors are the first thing a burglar tries because they are quiet and they usually give. When yours does not budge, when he shoves and it just sits there solid, he learns everything he needs to know about your house. This one is not protected. Number 13, make it look like someone is home and awake. Burglars want an empty house, and in a blackout, they cannot check for the usual signs. No lights on inside means nothing because nobody has lights on inside, so the tells become physical. A pair of big work boots left by the front door, a truck in the driveway, tools out in the yard like a project got interrupted, a radio playing low that they can hear from the sidewalk. Every one of these whispers the same thing into the dark. Somebody is in there, and they are up. It costs you nothing but a little arranging. Set the boots out at dusk, leave the wheelbarrow tipped in the yard, keep a battery radio murmuring by an open window. A house that feels occupied is a house that gets skipped, because the one thing a burglar fears more than an alarm is a person. A person can see him, a person can identify him, a person can end his whole night, and he knows it. Number 12, barricade the secondary doors. Everybody guards the front door. Almost nobody thinks about the others. The side door off the garage, the basement door, the flimsy back door with the window in it. In a blackout, those are the doors a burglar wants because they are out of sight and usually the weakest in the house. You do not need new locks. You need a barricade. A sturdy chair wedged hard under the doorknob, the back legs braced against the floor, will hold a door against a shocking amount of force. A 2x4 cut to fit across the frame and dropped into a pair of $10 brackets turns any door into a barred gate. This is medieval, and it is medieval because it works. When the power is out and no locksmith is coming, the doors have to win their fights on their own. Brace the ones nobody watches, because those are exactly the ones a stranger in the dark is counting on. Number 11, a dog. Any dog. A dog is the oldest alarm system on Earth, and no amount of technology has ever replaced it. It does not have to be a 100-pound guard dog. A little terrier that loses its mind at every noise is worth more in a blackout than a $1,000 camera that just went dead. The dog hears the gravel crunch before you do. The dog smells the stranger at the fence, and the dog does the one thing that scares a burglar most. It makes noise, unpredictable, uncontrollable noise that wakes the whole house and half the block. Burglars will tell you themselves in interviews. The single biggest deterrent, the thing that makes them cross a house off the list before they even try, is a barking dog. It does not run on batteries. It does not need the internet. It sleeps by your feet, and it works for the price of a bag of food and a little love, which most people would pay for anyway. Number 10, a radio that does not need the grid. Information is protection, and in a blackout, information goes dark right along with the lights. A $10 battery radio, or better yet, a hand crank model you can spin back to life with no batteries at all, keeps you connected to the one thing that matters. What is actually happening out there? Is this a 2-hour outage or a 2-week one? Is help coming or is nobody coming? Are there problems in the next neighborhood over that are heading your way? The people who panic in a blackout are almost always the people flying blind, imagining the worst because they have no facts. The people who stay calm and make good decisions are the ones who can still hear the emergency broadcasts. Knowing beats guessing every single time, and it costs less than a tank of gas. Fear thrives in silence and darkness. A radio breaks both. Now here is what the security industry does not want you thinking about too hard. That expensive alarm system on your wall, the cameras, the sensors, the little glowing keypad by the door, almost all of it dies the moment the power does. Most systems run on a battery backup that lasts a few hours, and the cameras that stream to your phone need internet that is already gone. So on the exact night you might actually need protection, during a widespread blackout when response times stretch and nobody is coming quickly, your $2,000 system becomes a plastic box on the wall doing absolutely nothing. They sell you the feeling of safety, billed monthly, forever, but the gravel still crunches, the dowel still holds, the dog still barks, the thorns still tear. Every genuinely reliable thing on this list is reliable precisely because it does not depend on the grid, the internet, or a company answering the phone. The cheapest defenses are the only ones that keep working when everything expensive quits. Number 9, light discipline. This is the mistake almost everyone makes, and it is the one that paints a target on your house. When the whole street is dark and you fire up every lantern and flashlight you own, blazing away behind the curtains, you have just announced to anyone watching that this house has resources, batteries, fuel, supplies, comfort. You have made yourself the brightest, most interesting house on a black street, and interesting is the last thing you want to be. The move is the opposite. Blend in. Keep interior lights low and away from the windows. Use a single small light in a back room, not the whole front of the house lit up like Christmas. Cover the windows. Let your house look as dark and unremarkable as every other one on the block. It costs nothing. It is just a habit, a discipline. The gray house that looks like it has nothing is the house nobody bothers with. Be the gray house. Number 8, do not advertise the generator. A generator is a blessing and a beacon at the same time. In a dead silent neighborhood, that steady drone carries for blocks, and it tells everyone within earshot exactly which house still has power, a running fridge, charged phones, maybe fuel stored somewhere. You cannot fully silence a generator, but you can be smart. Run it only when you need it instead of around the clock. Place it where the house muffles the sound, not out front where it echoes down the street. Never leave it visible, and never leave the fuel cans sitting out in the open where they announce themselves. The quieter and more hidden your comfort is, the safer you are. This is the same principle as light discipline. Comfort makes you a target when everyone else is suffering. The families who get through hard times cleanest are the ones who do not look like they are having an easier time than anybody else. Number 7. Lock the garage. The garage is the door everyone forgets, and burglars know it. That big overhead door is often the weakest, least secured entry into the whole house, and from inside the garage, a man is completely hidden while he works on the door into your living space at his leisure. When the power is out, the electric opener is dead anyway, but that is not enough because those doors can be lifted or shimmied by anyone who knows the trick. Pull the manual release and slide a padlock or a C-clamp onto the track so the door physically cannot roll up. A C-clamp costs a few dollars. It takes 30 seconds, and it seals off the single most overlooked highway into your home. All the reinforced front doors in the world mean nothing if you leave the garage standing open like an invitation. Lock the door nobody thinks about, because that is the one a thinking burglar heads straight for. Number 6. The neighborhood signal. Here is the trick a retired cop taught his whole street, and it did more good than any patrol ever could. Before the trouble ever comes, the neighbors agree on a signal, a specific pattern on a whistle, or 3 long blasts on a cheap air horn. That means one thing and one thing only. I need help. Come now. In a blackout, phones may be down, and even if they work, a call summons help from miles away, minutes away. But that air horn summons the 6 households closest to you, the ones who can be standing in your yard in 90 seconds. A $5 air horn on every porch turns a street of strangers into something a criminal will not touch, because he is no longer facing one scared family in the dark. He is facing a whole block that shows up together. The cop understood the oldest truth in public safety. Nobody protects you faster than the people who live right next to you, if they have simply agreed on the signal ahead of time. Here is the part nobody wants to say out loud. The greatest danger in a blackout is very often not a burglar at all. It is the way people try to survive the dark. Every year, the outages themselves hurt fewer people than the candles, the grills, the generators, and the improvised heating that come out when the power goes. Fire in a house with no working smoke alarm and no water pressure to fight it. Carbon monoxide from an engine or a flame running somewhere it never should. These are the quiet killers of every blackout, and they do not care how well you locked your doors. You can guard your home perfectly against every stranger on the street and still lose everything to a knocked-over lantern or a generator running in the wrong place. Real home safety in the dark is not only about keeping the wrong people out, it is about not becoming your own emergency. The next few are the ones that actually save the most lives. Number 5. Candle discipline. A candle is the classic image of a blackout, and it is also one of the most dangerous things you can light. An open flame in a dark, crowded, distracted house is a fire waiting for one bump, one gust, one child, one sleepy adult. The poor man's answer is not to go without light. It is to go without open flame. A battery lantern costs $10 and cannot burn your house down. A cheap headlamp frees both your hands and points light exactly where you look. If you must use candles, they go inside a glass jar or hurricane holder on a hard surface, away from curtains, and never ever left burning in an empty room or overnight. This costs nothing but attention. More families have lost their homes to the candle they lit during the outage than to any intruder who came during it. The light that saves you should never be the thing that kills you. Number 4. Carbon monoxide is the silent one. This is the killer with no smell, no sound, and no warning. And every single blackout it takes people who are only trying to stay warm or keep the lights on. The rule is simple, and it is absolute. A generator, a grill, a camp stove, a car engine, anything that burns fuel, runs outside and only outside, far from any window or door, and never in a garage, even with the door open. People die every year running a generator in an attached garage because they thought the open door was enough. It is not. A $10 battery-powered carbon monoxide detector is one of the cheapest life-saving devices ever made, and in a blackout, It is worth more than any lock on the house. You cannot see this danger coming. You cannot smell it. By the time you feel it, it is often too late to save yourself. Keep the fire outside and let the little detector stand guard over the air you breathe. Number 3. The rally point. Every household needs a plan for the dark, and it costs nothing but a 5-minute conversation. If something goes wrong in the middle of a blackout night, where does the family go? Which interior room, away from windows, with a door that locks and a charged phone, is the one everyone moves to? Where do the kids go? Who grabs the youngest? Where is the flashlight kept so nobody is fumbling in a drawer while their heart pounds? In the chaos of a real emergency, in total darkness, people do not rise to the occasion. They fall back on whatever they practiced. So practice something. Walk the family through it once in daylight. Pick the room. Pick the meeting spot outside if you ever have to leave. A family that knows exactly what to do wastes no time being confused and afraid, and time is the one thing you cannot buy back in an emergency. The plan is free. Not having one can cost you everything. Number 2, cash, keys, and a bag by the bed. When the power is out, the card readers are down, the automated teller machines are dead, and the only money that works is the money in your hand. A few $100s in small bills, tucked away for emergencies, is worth more in a blackout than a full bank account you cannot reach. Beside it, keep your car keys and a small bag with the essentials. A flashlight, the radio, a phone charger, water, a little food, important documents. Keep all of it in one known place near the bed, so that whether you are hunkering down or getting out fast, you are not searching the dark house for the things that matter most. This is the difference between a family that moves with purpose when the moment comes and a family that stands frozen in a black hallway, unsure what to grab. Preparation is just decisions made early, while you are calm, so you do not have to make them later while you are afraid. Number 1, your neighbors. At the very top of this list is the oldest security system that has ever existed, and it costs absolutely nothing. The people who live around you. Every alarm, every camera, every lock and light and dog on this list is only buying you time until a human being responds. And in a widespread blackout, the only human beings close enough to respond in time are the ones on your street. A neighborhood where people know each other's names, watch each other's houses, and check on each other when the lights go out is a fortress that no burglar wants to enter, because a stranger stands out instantly in a place where everyone knows who belongs. The isolated house, the one where nobody knows the family and nobody would notice a break-in, is the one that gets hit. So knock on the doors now, in the daylight, in the good times. Learn the names. Trade phone numbers, agree on the signal, because when the entire neighborhood goes dark, the thing that keeps you safe is not the darkness closing in around your house. It is the light of people who have your back, and whose backs you have too. That is a protection no company can sell you, and no blackout can turn off. Here is my challenge. Do one of these this week, just one. Put the dowel in the sliding door, reinforce the strike plate, walk over and finally meet the neighbor 2 houses down, then come back and tell me which one you did, because the dark is coming for all of us eventually, and the families who get through it are never the ones with the most expensive gear. They are the ones who got ready while the lights were still on.